Okay, so Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. Welcome to the second night of our program with Dr. Al-Hilli, Knowing God Through Quarantine. Let me move this out of the way so you can see the screen a bit better. We have the program continuing in the coming weeks as well at 7 o'clock. We want to stick to that time, so I made an effort to be on time today, inshallah. As what happened yesterday, we will have the lecture followed by Q&A, and then we'll finish up at the end. So with regards to the poll feature, we will be using that as well at some point. So do familiarize yourself with the poll if you haven't seen it previously. And the Q&A feature is available as ever. You can simply post your questions, and the most popular ones generally are asked. Obviously, if they're particularly good questions and they come up immediately, I will look at them as well. And you can sign up here at the following location for future reference. Housekeeping, use the raise hand function or go through the chat as I've specified already. Introduction to our speaker, Dr. Al-Hilli, who doesn't need any introduction. I made it in the previous night, but you can quickly glance through that. The key points obviously are he is studied Islamic studies from the Islamic College, and he is an expert in contemporary issues and an author of the book 101 Ways to Concentrate in Prayer. Don't forget, if you haven't already, please sign up to this survey. It takes only minutes to do. I'm trying to get that open there. I will post this link on the chat now. If you haven't already completed the questionnaire, please do. It is a piece of research which is very important around the community needs. So I will just post that up now. So there's the survey. If you haven't, please do complete it. I will mention it again at the end of the program. Without further delay, I will welcome you. I will pass over now to Dr. Al-Hilli with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Everyone virtually, this is, I'm still trying to get used to all this stuff while I'm talking to my laptop. Inshallah, everyone is well and keeping well, inshallah. So I'll get straight to it. I'll start sharing my slides. Right, so if you were here yesterday, then you will know that we are talking about knowing God through quarantine. If you were not here yesterday, then I'm gonna take like 2 minutes or even less going through what we went through yesterday, and inshallah we'll continue with today. As ever, please try to ask any questions, give me feedback, maybe something you have misunderstood or something you disagree with, please do let us know as ever. So we said yesterday that this is an opportunity for us. Quarantine is an opportunity for us to do many things, and one of them is to get to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we recited certain verses such as this, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, don't forget yourself. If you forget Allah, you will forget yourself. So therefore, getting to know the self, you will get to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there is different concepts that we always hear about when we talk about self-reflection, introspection, self-discovery, and all these particular concepts. And the one I have chosen, what I've sort of made up as well, is called spiritual introspection. And basically it's the process of learning about your feelings, emotions, soul, thoughts, and mental state. And it really, the main aim, my brothers and sisters, and I can't stress this enough, is it is gonna give us opportunity to grow and develop. And inshallah, you stay tuned till the end, where inshallah I will give practical suggestions, and it will be a suggestion for me. I will also do the exercise. There will be an exercise, and inshallah we'll try to keep in touch until next week into how we do with this exercise. And I hope again, it might be a flop, but I hope it is something that we all will participate in. We looked at the science, and we talked about there's an activity in the prefrontal cortex here when people do introspection, and essentially what we're trying to achieve here is God consciousness, taqwa, and that's also the aim of fasting, isn't it? In that particular verse. And inshallah, today we'll talk about the Ramadan introspection regime. And we talked about the difference between tafakkur and tadabbur. We said tafakkur is getting the real meaning, making a sensible meaning from that particular matter. And then tadabbur is examining the consequences of that. And then we gave examples from the Holy Quran. And for example, salah, you really think about the meaning of salah, and then you do tadabbur on it, which is the consequences of salah. What is the consequences? And of course, in the salata tanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. All right, so today, if you're ready, we'll go ahead with something that is very interesting through my research, and inshallah we'll talk about it now. Before that, I want you to say a very loud salawat in your room, wherever you are. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Okay, so the path, this is what I've called the path of self-discovery. And I don't know how many of you have heard about this, right? Some people say it's the mystics that do that, but perhaps it's misleading. Everyone can do it. You don't need to be someone who's a mystic to actually practice this. And this is the path of self-discovery, where you do musharatah, and then you do muraqabah, and then you do muhasabah, and then you do mu'aqabah. Okay, all has the right? Musharatah, muraqabah, muhasabah, and mu'aqabah. Okay, so what is musharatah? So musharatah is, remember, this is you talking to your soul. Yes. So you set out conditions for yourself to do good deeds and avoid bad deeds, right? So there are conditions. That's the main thing, right? So it's more like a conversation with the soul, and you say to the soul, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set conditions for me to do the good deeds, and I'm going to avoid the bad deeds. Okay. So example for that is, you say a condition is, I must refrain. All right, start that again. I must refrain from speaking ill of anyone. So if I wake up that particular morning, I do musharata, shart. For those of you who speak Arabic, it's shart, isn't it? It comes from shart. It's a condition. All right. I'm putting a condition on myself, and no one is judging you here. It's just you and your soul here. You're talking to the soul, and you say, oh, soul, I'm going to do a shart on you. I'm going to do a condition. I'm not going to speak ill of anyone the whole day. Okay, that's my condition. So even if I start thinking about speaking ill of someone, if you're quarantined at home, maybe you start speaking ill of your spouse, all right, or your kids, right, or on the phone you talk to someone, and you get on, or on WhatsApp, speaking isn't just these days. It's not just a verbal thing. It's all about typing as well. And on WhatsApp, you speak ill of someone, or you say something ill of someone, or backbiting, and you talk about someone behind their back. All of these, you say, I promise, I'm just going to think good of people. I'm not going to talk ill of anyone. So that's a condition, a shart I have made with my soul. So then you move into the next stage, which is al-muraqabah. Al-muraqabah is observation over one's actions. So the idea here is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala watches you every single moment of your time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is closer to you than your jugular vein, which is right here. نَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. If you cut your jugular vein, you cut yourself and you die. What happens? You die. So therefore you cut Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from you, right? That is the jugular vein right here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in chapter 96, verse 14, he says, Alam ya'lam. Does he not know? بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ يَرَى. Allah sees every single moment of what goes in your life, right? So you must muraqab, you must observe, right? This particular condition that you have met, you are trying to meet, which is al-musharata. In this particular example, we have said is the not speaking ill of anyone. So fundamentally, my brothers and sisters, is being in a state of muraqaba. It means you comprehend that Allah is always close to you and always watches you. And in this particular example, we say that you always examine the thought and you think before you speak, right? So you're observing the thought processes, and we'll talk a bit about the thought processes in a bit, inshallah. So when you are talking to your spouse, and you want to speak ill about someone, for example, I want to speak ill of Hassan, and the host today, and I speak to my wife and I say Hassan was, and I start changing the topic, because start to think good of Hassan, and I always think good of Hassan anyway. I try to anyway, but you got to think good of that person, even if that person has done something bad for you, because we want to try to clean our hearts. We don't want any black spots in our hearts. We want to clean our hearts. We don't want to think ill of anyone. We want to think good of everyone. Okay, that's the path we're going into. To achieve God consciousness, I got to think good of people, right? I got to think good of people, because if they made a mistake, and said maybe bad things, maybe it was unintentional. Remember, give 70 excuses to your mu'min, to your brother, right? So therefore, this is a concept, isn't it? Part of giving 70 excuses. 70 is just a number. You can give more and more, right? So observation is you examine it, continuously examine it during the day, right? So we said musharata is when you put a condition. For example, here, you don't speak ill of anyone. I must not speak ill of anyone. You're having conversation with your soul, and you say, soul, I'm not going to speak ill of anyone. And then observation throughout the day, you keep on making sure you observe the mind, you observe the thoughts, and you say, okay, thought, no, I'm not going to speak ill of anyone. Even if a thought comes in and says, okay, speak ill of someone, you say no, because you are not your thoughts. You are the intellect, and you are the consciousness. You are this conscious human being. And then you move into the third stage, which is al-muhasaba, which maybe many of you are familiar with, which is the self-inspection assessment. And when we look at the Quran, this is a very interesting verse in chapter 59, verse number 18. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says what? Ya ayyuhalladina amanu taqullah. So this is the first thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, be God conscious, O mu'mineen, be God conscious. And then he goes further. He says, وَلْتَنْظُرْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدٍ. And every soul, yes, look to what it has put forth for tomorrow. Yeah. Examine the soul. Assess the soul. Find out what the soul is planning for tomorrow. Find out if the soul has this God consciousness for tomorrow. And tomorrow means, of course, the day of judgment. And then interestingly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاتَّقُوا. Again, he repeats it. So he says that for you to assess yourself, and you say, okay, how have I done in that particular day, right? How have I done in this particular day, right? You continuously assess yourself. And then once you come to a conclusion, you say, for tomorrow, I will continuously become God conscious. If on that particular day, you do, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ittaqullah, on that day. Yes, I'm going to become God conscious. Throughout the day, in my muraqabah, I'm going to become God conscious, right? And then once you come to muhasabah, you say, okay, then have I become God conscious or not? Yes, I have become in certain cases, or in certain cases not. Then what about tomorrow? I'm definitely going to become God conscious. Allah then says, nafsun ma qaddamat lighad wattaqullah. And he reminds us again, wattaqullah. Inna Allah khabirun bima ta'malun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what you will do. And there is, of course, a hadith from our seventh Imam, Imam Al-Kadhim alayhi salam. He says that لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ لَمْ يُحَاسِبْ نَفْسَهُ فِي كُلِّ يَوْمٍ. He is not one of us who does not make inspection, spiritual inspection, or self-assessment or muhasabah of himself every single day. And that is what we're looking for, isn't it? That particular. He says, you're not amongst us, O Ahlul Bayt, because we Ahlul Bayt, we want those individuals who are God conscious, who are al-muttaqeen, and for us to reach that particular stage, we need to go through that particular step of assessing ourselves at the end of the day. So going back to our example, when you've done your muraqabah of not speaking ill of anyone, right, and make sure you manage your thoughts, how many times you ask yourself at the end of the day when you're doing your muhasabah, how many times have you spoken ill of someone for the last that particular day, right? And importantly, my brothers and sisters, what we must do is we've got to be kind to ourselves, yeah, and not too harsh when we do the muhasabah. You know, some of us might do the muhasabah and we say, you know, it's, you know, why have I not done this? And then you start become anxious. You start to really, you know, be harsh on yourself, and you say, oh, I give up. I can't really be doing this. Be kind to yourself and be also honest with yourself, right? And really importantly, analyze reasons why you did not meet the conditions if you did not meet the conditions. So for example, in this particular case, maybe you did a ghiba on someone, or you spoken ill to someone, or in WhatsApp or whatever, or you're on the phone. Then find out the reasons why. Maybe there is a reason why you're continuously doing this particular sin, right? And try to find out why. And then next time, perhaps tweak this particular condition, right? And say next time, if you're doing this every day, and every day you're trying to do this musharata, muraqaba, muhasaba on this particular issue, right? For example, this speaking ill of people, and every day you are speaking ill of people, and you can't. Honestly, I know people who just continuously speak ill of people, right? And you tell them, you know, you see, okay, what can you do? You know, just try to tweak it for the next day. Say, for example, you know, I can only speak ill of people. I should only speak ill of people, you know, 3 people, right? And then, you know, that's a condition for you. And then inshallah, you know, you go down to 2 people, and then you go down to 1, and then you go to 0, right? If you can't manage. This is just an example. There's many different examples of the different conditions of the different shurut and musharata that you can put. But perhaps you need to tweak the condition and find a middle ground, right? And importantly, be kind to yourself. This is a self-examination process. This is not where you're trying to compete with someone else. This is for you to improve, for us to grow, to develop. And the last thing you want is you just want to give up. If you set a very high standard and you say, oh, I got to do this, or I'm not doing this, of course, you've set a very high standard for yourself. Try to lower the standard. And it's okay. We are human beings. We will make mistakes. And finally, it's mu'aqabah. Now, mu'aqabah is an interesting one because, you know, there are people like Sayyid al-Khumaini who talk about musharata, muraqabah, and muhasabah in his 40 hadith book, right? But he doesn't talk about muraqabah. There are, you know, there is Al-Ghazali, for example, the mystic philosopher who talks about muraqabah, and there are others who talk about muraqabah as well. But I thought it's interesting, muraqabah, because it's a bit of a positive punishment. I went through this with my wife, and she said, "Oh, punishment, you know, you shouldn't really. Punishment is got."
Sorry, to clarify, you mean mu'aqabah, doctor?
Sorry, what did I say?
You kept saying muraqabah. You meant
sorry, mu'aqabah. Thank you very much, Hassan. Thank you very much. Mu'aqabah. Yes, I'm talking about mu'aqabah, and punishment is probably quite a severe thing. So I've renamed it. I've said disciplining the soul. Right, so you discipline yourself, and if the results of the assessment is negative, so for example, when you're trying to, you know, say I'm not going to speak ill of anyone, then you can sort of say positively, you can positively punish yourself and say by fasting. And I know fasting is not a punishment. You can change that and say you discipline yourself. But mu'aqaba in Arabic is actually punishment, right? That's why it's. But of course, fasting is not a punishment. Fasting is a blessing for everyone. So please don't misunderstand me. But some people will find it difficult to fast. So you say, okay, if I'm gonna talk ill of people, right, then I'm going to fast for 10 days. There are certain ulama that say that they do this musharata, muraqaba, muhasaba, and mu'aqaba. And their mu'aqaba is fasting for 2 years. Yeah, continuously. Right. And I'm not saying you guys do it, but they reach, some of the ulama say, okay, if I can't discipline my soul for that particular condition, I'm going to fast for 2 years. So when he thinks about, oh my God, I'm going to fast for 2 years, if I'm not going to do this, then he talks to his soul and he say, okay, discipline the soul. I've got to do this. I'm not going to speak ill of anyone. Okay. If that is the particular musharata. So that's something, of course, we can also do. If you want a bit more about, that this particular topic and more about muhasaba itself, you can refer to alislam.org and you see this particular book called Spiritual Accounting based on Muhasaba al-Nafs by Sayyid Ibn Tawus. Finally, I just want to talk, before we go into the practical side of things, I want to talk about examining the thoughts and, cultivating that state of the spiritual introspection that we've been talking about, honestly gives us the ability to manage our thoughts. And we can then, if we manage our thoughts, we can then follow or not follow our thoughts as we choose, right? And so therefore, I said this yesterday, I think, that they say that we have around 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day, right? And 95% of these thoughts are repetitive thoughts, right? We continuously have these thoughts on a daily basis. Do you actually know what these thoughts are? Examine the thoughts. And it's all so important, for example, that thought that the thought of speaking ill of someone, right? If you try to really be conscious that this thought has come into your mind, you can't stop thoughts sometimes from coming, right? Thoughts come in. Right? So don't punish yourself for having thoughts, right? But it's all about actually, putting the thoughts into action. And if you have that particular thought and that thought, you're going to put it into action. So you have a thought of speaking ill. So Hassan, sorry, I always pick on you. So if I have a thought of saying bad thing about Hassan, right? And I speak to my wife and I say, oh, Hassan, and then a thought comes in. If it comes out of the mouth, this is where it becomes a problem, doesn't it? But if a thought comes in, I try to dismiss. Maybe it's the shaitan that's brought that thought, right? But it's actually making it into action where the problem is. So what we do is, if we continuously do that spiritual introspection, we try to manage the thoughts and make sure that if the thought comes in, it doesn't come out. It doesn't translate into action. And this is really interesting. Whoever is interested in this particular concept, you go and read about Jalaluddin al-Suyuti, right? He was a scholar, and he's got a very interesting book. This is just a side point about Fatima al-Zahra and the hadiths about Fatima al-Zahra, if you're interested in that as well. Of course, he's not a Shia, he's from a Sunni school of thought, but still, regarding this particular thing, he has good work, and he stages thoughts into 4 different stages. This is very interesting if you're into this. So the first thing, he calls it al-hajis, right? This is when the sudden and fleeting thought comes in and then goes before you can consider it. So it's hajis, it just comes in and goes. We've had a lot of these, but we're not conscious of them. That's the thing. It just, the thought comes in and then just goes away. It just sort of says hi and then goes up, right? The second stage, where it's really getting a bit warmer, right? It's called al-khatir, right? A thought that we give attention and consideration, right? So for example, a thought that comes in, I'm going to say something not good about Hassan, right? It comes in and goes, that's hajis. A bit step further is called al-khatir, where I actually give it a bit of attention. And at this stage, he says, we have, interpretation of what he says, is that at this stage, we have a choice to continue down this train of thought or ignore it. So a thought comes in and I say something about Hassan, no, forget it. I have that choice. Or actually, yeah, let me entertain that thought. Yeah, it's probably a good thing if I talk about Hassan, or I think about it, all right? And something evil about Hassan, Hassan, right? Number 3, that's the next stage, is hadith an-nafs. Then there will be an internal dialogue, all right? Our internal dialogue of talking of the self as we pursue the thought and seriously consider acting on it. So remember, this happens in a trigger, in a very few milliseconds perhaps, right? But this is the God-conscious individuals who are conscious of their thoughts. And this is where spiritual introspection really takes us to that particular level. So therefore, and that particular thought, it says, oh, okay, I'm going to talk about Hassan. Yeah, let me think about, this happens in milliseconds. I don't really do that. But then there will be a dialogue, an internal dialogue between me and my soul. And I say, well, should I put this into action or not? It's the last stage before putting it into action. When we do the ghibah, when we say about things it's the last stage before action. And then number 4 is al-ham and al-azm, right? Al-ham and al-azm, right? Where actually I go and put it into action. The decision and determination to put the thought into action. Yeah. So we have al-hajiz, which comes fleeting, a thought quickly goes. And we have al-khatar, right? Where I start to give it a bit of attention. And then we have hadith an-nafs. So I have a dialogue, internal dialogue with my soul. Should I not? Just the stage before action. And then I have al-azm, where I put it into action, right? And this is the thoughts into action. And if we study this, right, and we are conscious of what's actually going on around our thoughts, then inshallah, we can stop it at probably al-khatar stage, or just let it at hajis and let it go through. Remember, in these 4 stages, it doesn't stop you from having the thought. No one can stop you from having the thought. The thought comes in and goes. That's okay, right? You're not a bad person, right? But it's actually putting it into action where it gets quite bad. So this is just a summary now of what we've got. I'm gonna switch on the lights because it's getting a bit dark. This is something you won't do when you're lecturing. Sorry, excuse me for that. Stop laughing at me. Okay. So there's three things we've talked about. So we talked about tafakkur and tadabbur. If you remember, when you give a meaning to the matter, and tadabbur is you deliberate on it and you look for the consequences of that particular meaning. And then we looked at the path of self-discovery, the musharata, the musharata, the muraqaba, the muhasaba, and the muaqaba. Yeah. And then thirdly, we looked at the thoughts itself and how can, how Suyuti, Jalaluddin al-Suyuti put it into thoughts into action, right? And how can, how does our thoughts goes from 1 to 4? And we've just spoken about that. So that path of thoughts into action. Now we're trying to bring all these together into something called the Ramadan spiritual introspection exercise. And this is where the practical stuff comes in. Inshallah, everyone is alive and kicking. Let me just see here. Right, okay, so we have 41 people listening. All right, so inshallah, 41 of you can participate in this spiritual introspection exercise, inshallah. Right. So the whole idea of this exercise is we do the following, right? We speak to our soul. It will be a conversation between you, yes, you. I can't see you, but you can see me. You and your soul. Have you ever spoken to your soul? Yes or no? Say yes or no. No? Yes? First, what you need to do is the soul, your soul, needs to agree on the conditions. So the reason is, so this is al-musharata, isn't it? So in musharata, you can't do something if your soul just says, never, I can never do this. I can never accept this condition, right? You got to ease the soul to accept this condition. You can't put a really big condition where the soul says, come on, you don't expect me to do that, right? You can't say, look, I'm going to pray Salatul Layl, 11 ruk'ah, and I'm going to pray all the other salahs and everything else. That's the condition I'm going to do every day. Come on, you can't start from nothing to all the way to jump. You can't you can't run before you walk. That's a good one, right? You can't run before you walk. Yeah. So you gotta have first, the soul needs to agree on the conditions, right? The second thing is what? Say it. What's the next stage after musharata? Yes, is al-muraqabah. You need to be vigilant with him, right? You need to be vigilant with him. So the soul is gonna practice doing that during the day. And you are, of course, the soul, you're the same thing, but you know what I'm talking about. It's just trying to split the two so you can be vigilant on the soul. And so I'm going to do this. I'm not going to speak ill of anyone. So I'm not going to speak ill of anyone, right? Remember, you got to be vigilant, observe. Third, you got to call him to account. The soul, you come at the end of the day, say, soul, no, you did say this about this person. But don't be too harsh on yourself, right? And finally, the discipline or censor him, the soul. Yeah, maybe about fasting or whatever. So this is you speaking to your soul. Now, this is not a digression. This is a beautiful hadith from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Sallu alayhi wa alihi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Hassan.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Just me and you, my brother. I need to hear your voice. Right. He is who is sincere to God. Right? Khalisan lillah. He is who is sincere to God for 40 mornings. Right? The fountains of wisdom, Anabir al-Hikmah, will spring out from his heart to his tongue. Yeah? If you are sincere, if you are khalis to Allah in 40 mornings, right, then the fountains of hikmah will go from your heart, will spring out from your heart to your tongue, right? So you will speak wisely. Yes. Now, the reason why I put this in here is because it would be amazing if we could do this exercise for 40 days. It would be amazing. But I've unfortunately done it for 5 days, right? So this is it, my brothers and sisters. I really hope that everyone can do this exercise, because I'll be the first one to do it. And I will report in front of everyone next Saturday, inshallah, when we meet again, right? Our meeting will be on the 2nd of May, inshallah, next meeting, right? And I will report to you how I've been doing. So this is a table, week 1. If it's successful and if it isn't a flop, then we'll do a week 2, right? So this is the exercise. What I'm saying here is that I have chosen for every single day a condition that I'm going to set for my soul. You can change that, but I've just set that for me. I'm sharing what I have put in here. And if you want, you can use what I have put here. If you don't want to, then you can do whatever you want, because you know yourself better, right? Put certain musharatas, certain conditions. So I've said on Monday the 27th, which is tomorrow, right? My musharata is to pray on time. I must pray on time. I'm talking to my soul here. I must pray on time. On time means what? Not after 20 minutes, not after half an hour. No, pray on time. If the salah of dhuhr is 1:02, I'm ready to pray at 1:02. Yeah, I do the adhan at 1:02. I've done my wudu beforehand. Yeah, that's what it means. Gotta be a bit strict here, right? My muraqabah will be, I'm vigilant over the soul. Am I doing it? Am I doing it? Am I doing it? And then muhasabah, I will do muhasabatul nafs at the end of the day before I sleep. Fajr, dhuhr and asr, maghrib and isha. Pray on time or not? muhasaba, right? Then mu'aqaba, I haven't put, you do your own mu'aqaba. I'm not going to tell you what to do if you haven't done that properly. If you have not met, when you do the muhasaba, you have not met the condition, then you do your own mu'aqaba. I'm not going to say that. I'll do my own mu'aqaba. Mu'aqaba is optional, okay? Tuesday, 28th of April, not May. Must not speak ill of anyone. Yes, must not speak ill, even in WhatsApp, even when you talk to your kids, must not speak ill of your spouse, must not speak ill of your kids, right? If you have any, yeah? Your parents, whoever you live with and whoever you speak with, whoever you do WhatsApp with, whoever you do whatever communication with, must not speak ill of anyone. And you might think this is easy, try it. Do muraqabah and then muhasabah. The next musharata on Wednesday, 29th of May, is must not get angry. Those individuals, parents who are doing homeschooling, right, must not get angry. Yes. Try it. Do muraqabah and muhasabah. Remember, you can change these. These are not written on stone. This is for me. Yeah. Thursday, the 30th of May. Contact 3 people you haven't spoken for for the last year. 3 people. You contact them means what? Not WhatsApp, not Facebook. I don't know why I'm talking like this. You must contact them by phone. Hello, speak, brother, sister, speak. Hello, salamu alaikum, how are you? I haven't seen you, I haven't spoken. How are you doing in quarantine? How are you doing in self-isolation? Is there anything I can help you with? Yes, you haven't spoken to for the last year, remember. Someone who will be surprised with your. If you can't do it, if you haven't done it, then hasib. Do muhasabah and muraqabah and muhasabah, right? And Friday the 1st, I must pray Salatul Layl. And what I mean by Salatul Layl is the 11 rak'ah. No cheating, you do 1 rak'ah or 2 rak'ahs or 3 rak'ahs. No, you do the whole 11. Yes, that's my conditions. So I want to do a poll now, Hassan.
Yes, I'm here. Yep.
I want everyone to talk to me now and tell me, would you participate in the Ramadan spiritual introspection with me? Yes or no? And if you say yes, you have to do it, right? And remember, you can change the conditions. You can change the muhasabas. But come on, guys, we got to do this, right? You got to give me motivation to do it, right? This is quarantine time. This is self-isolation time. We have time to do muhasabah. We have time to do introspection, self-introspection, right? Let's do this. You don't need to share it with anyone, by the way. No need to share it with anyone. Hassan, you've gone on holiday.
I'm just showing you the reward for completing the survey.
Oh, mashallah. So are people participating, Hassan?
Yes, they are. Yeah. We're just getting we've got 37 on 42. Okay.
It's okay if you say no. It's okay if you say no. Oh, mashallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. That's amazing results. I didn't expect that. But 36 of you will join me. I think I'm one of the 36. 35 of you will join me, inshallah, in doing the Ramadan spiritual introspection exercise. Okay? So I'm gonna put the no. Oh no, I'm not gonna go back again, am I? No. Okay. Sorry, 1 second, everyone. So I'm just gonna put that table back again for you to have a look. All right, from current slide. All right, have a look at this table. If you want, we can. I'm going to ask the IUS. I'm going to ask the IUS admin to put this table in their website and give us a link, and that link will be sent to you. Is there any way we can send it to them, Hassan?
Sorry, I was talking to myself. I will have to ask
your soul. You're talking to your soul.
I was talking to my soul. That's right. I was doing the introspection in advance, so you actually interrupted me there.
Okay, sorry. My apologies.
But what we'll do is I will speak to
by email, maybe Sister.
Yeah, look, we've got what it is.
Email.
We've actually got. Hang on, we've got the emails of all registrations.
Excellent.
So what we can do is anybody who's on today's program, we'll email them the document.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So you can email everyone if you want this particular. But remember, guys, honestly, you don't need to use my. You got to examine yourself and find out what is what's the musharata for you, and that will be inshallah most sufficient. Maybe you can share it with your spouse, with your parents, whoever you live with. And if you don't live with anyone. I don't know, you can share it with, I don't mind if you want to share it with me. I don't mind if it's not private, then I'll be more than happy to talk to you about this and we can have a conversation. Okay, so we've done the poll and that's it. So inshallah, just to finish off, wrap up this particular section of the talk, we started off with saying, we need to get to know Allah through quarantine, and then we said one of the ways to get to know Allah is to know the self. And then we said, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to practically do this? And so we talked about three main things, if you remember. We talked about tadabbur and tafakkur, and also importantly, guys, when you're doing these things, also do tafakkur and tadabbur. When you're doing this musharata, muraqaba, do this tafakkur, where you find the meaning of it and find out the consequences of it. If I do ghiba, if I don't work, if I don't pray on time, what's the consequences of that? What's the meaning of that? So do tafakkur and tadabbur on those, and of course make sure you do tafakkur and tadabbur on the Quran itself. That's probably one of the musharatas that I should have put in, but maybe for the week after, if you guys continue with me. And then we talked about this journey, this path of self-discovery, of you must had enough of me saying this: musharata, muraqaba, muhasaba, and muaqaba. And then we talked about the Suyuti's thought into action, and now we've given that particular exercise, Ramadan spiritual introspection exercise. Inshallah, 35 of you, inshallah, will be joining me next week, the 2nd of May, where we will, inshallah, I will show you the results. It's gonna be, I gotta be the guinea pig, but I'd love to hear from you. Please do give me feedback into how you're getting on, and inshallah we'll do this through the polls and through emails and through chats, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Okay, so now we move on to the next part of the program. We'll be doing Q&A, some Q&A now. So we have some questions ready, but if you want to raise your hand, if you have any questions, do the raise hand feature now. You will become the second ever person to attend a lecture, a Zoom iOS lecture, and ask a question. So we have Bilal Nakhawi. I will allow him to talk now. Go ahead, brother Bilal.
Assalamu alaikum. Guys, can you hear me?
Alaikum assalam.
Alaikum, brother. How are you? You well, inshallah?
Alhamdulillah. How are you, Dr. Ali?
Alhamdulillah. Great to hear from you.
Nice to see you all. Quick question about mu'aqaba. You mentioned, can you have the same mu'aqaba for all the different, let's suppose, goals that you have? For example, praying on time, not being angry, not speaking ill of anybody. Can you say, okay, let's suppose I don't meet that particular goal, I will fast for each one of those? Or would you recommend having a different mu'aqaba for each one?
Absolutely, Brother Bilal. You can do that, and in fact, the general this general path that I've talked about is actually not, is not doing anything, is doing everything good and not doing bad things, right? So it's quite a general thing. What I've done is I've broken it down into things, because I think that's the only way we can do practical things. If I was to tell you now, guys, make sure for the next week, until next week, I want you to do good deeds and I don't want you to do bad deeds. but what does that mean? You know, so but what you're saying is, you're saying, yes, I can do this muhasabah for everything. Absolutely, right? And this is a really good point, my brother. So you know, when we said Monday do this, Tuesday do that, maybe you can continue the muhasabah on every single day, right? So for example, we said Monday pray on time. Tuesday we said something else, but on Tuesday do the muhasabah of Monday as well. You know, continue doing your muhasabah. So you got to continue pray on time on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Do you get that? Right? So continuously do that. And yes, absolutely, sit down and do muhasabah of getting angry, do muhasabah of, and then if you do mu'aqaba, the positive punishment, then yeah, say extra fasting. I got angry today, so I'm gonna do that for anger, and do it for the I didn't pray on time, and you know, so you can do whatever you want. So basically the answer to this is not jurisprudentially. It's not jurisprudential. It's not halal or haram or fiqh and stuff like that. You can play around with this however you want. Okay, but remember, you're talking to your soul here, and you're having a conversation with your soul. So really make sure that you know, you be kind to yourself, but also have a bit of a strong regime. Is that okay, brother Bilal?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your question.
Ahsant, brother Bilal. Again, anybody else who wants to ask a question, do feel free to put your hand up, and we will definitely give you the chance to come on and ask a question live. A couple of quick questions. What's the name of the book relating to thoughts by Jalal al-Din?
That's a good question. I will get back to you on that, inshallah.
Okay.
He has several books, but I will get back to you on. So what I will do is I will, we can email people, right?
Yeah. So we've got the emails of all attendees. What we'll do is we'll email the slides.
Yes.
And any unanswered questions. So the one is the name of the book.
Yeah. I've
noted that down.
Inshallah.
Anything else, guys? Okay, fine. We'll come back to that in the email. Can you clarify what muraqabah would look like for those conditions you listed?
Well, I'll take one example. So say, for example, let me have a look. What's the muraqabah? So must not get angry, for example, right? So a muraqabah for that is I absolutely observant of my mood and my thoughts. Okay, so you know, anger comes as a result of thoughts. Emotions come as a result of thoughts, right? So for example, let me give you an example. If you know, I've said my muhasabah is not getting angry for the day, right? Not muhasabah, my musharata is not getting angry for the day. I must not get angry for the day. So I wake up in the morning, I got to do homeschooling with the kids, and the kids running around not listening to me, right? Muraqabah is when I become observant and I say, oh, what? No, I am at the moment, I am present at the moment, and I say, look, I have made a condition and I am vigilant on this, right? But sometimes when I am absolutely vigilant on this particular issue, the shaitan takes over, and nafs al-ammara bis-su' takes over, and then I fail, right? But you've got to always be this thing where it's like, you know, you and your soul, right? And your soul is becoming weaker and weaker during the day. You've got to become angry. You've got to be observant of the soul, and you say, soul, don't do it, and you've got to be always observant of it, right? I know it might sound very theoretical, but try it, right? You've got to always try to be more, you know. And another concept about muraqabah, some people say it's a form of meditation as well, right? Muraqabah is where you sit down and you just go through your thoughts, and if a thought comes in and says, speak ill of someone or become angry, come on, you can't, you know, if you've had a row with your wife, right, or the husband or whatever, right, and you know, your ego is starting to really increase in power, and your thoughts are all over the place, and you say you want to become angry. This is the time when you become muraqib, right? You're doing muraqib of yourself. You say, no, I gotta take some deep breaths. I'm observant of my thoughts. I can't become angry, right? And this is, you know, where perhaps a bit of meditation where you can you can use the Suyuti's thoughts into action, where your thoughts are really becoming, reaching a state of action or not, right? Look, it's going to be difficult. Muraqabah specifically is going to be difficult, but try it. Be observant of your own thoughts, of your own actions, right? Continuously. And if you fail, it's okay if you fail. It's fine if you fail, right? This is where the muhasabah comes in. If you failed, it's okay. By the way, sometimes you might forget that you're doing this muraqabah, right? And then when it comes to muhasabah, you remember, you say, oh my God, I failed in my muraqabah. That's okay, right? Next day, try to improve it.
Okay, Ahsan Sheikh. I will give the last question to the person who's raised his hand up, because I will always give them priority to encourage debate and discussion live on the program. So Hashim Mustafa, please go ahead and ask your question, the final question for today. Hello? Brother Hashim?
Hello, hello?
Yes, Brother Hashim, I can hear you. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam. Yeah, my question is, to get, permanent changes to your soul, when you do things for 40 days, based on lots of hadith, and the one that you mentioned. So how do this process stop? And after a while, it becomes, like how our salah is like, say, kind of routine, and you lose the meaning of it. How do we stop this just becoming like another chore? Oh, I've done my salah on time, tick. I've done this, tick. How do we, make sure it's, stays meaningful?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why, I'm going to say something theoretical and then I go to practical. The theoretical statement is you've got to inject the iman, become God conscious in your heart. So it will always stay there. That's a theoretical thing. The practical is that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed salah for us, prescribed siyam for us, prescribed dua for us, prescribed all these different worship, because he knows that human beings are weak. So it's okay to be weak. The thing is that you say, oh, it doesn't become a chore. Sometimes it is going to become a chore. Sometimes your salah will become a chore sometimes. Sometimes fasting will become like, oh, not fasting again. But that's okay. What's important is you bounce back straight away. Not like keep it like, oh, salah is chore. Yeah, I'll keep it as a chore. But no, I go and do this tafakkur and do this tadabbur on salah. I go and make this, this meditation of introspection on my salah and try to raise my sort of spirituality with the salah. And once I raise it, because I'm human, because I am fallible, it might go down, especially with life. Sometimes we might face a trial in my life and then everything sort of goes down, right? You got to pick yourself up again. Always pick yourself up again. It's okay when you go down, pick up don't try and become a superhero, right? Sometimes, I'll be honest with you, sometimes after midnight, I go to sleep and I say, okay, shall I pray Salatul Layl? And I really, my heart is, I can't be bothered. I say, okay, fine. I'm not going to pressurize the soul. I talk to the soul, say, soul, can I pray Salatul Layl? It says, no Salatul Layl for today. I say, oh, okay, soul, okay. But not every time. I don't give in every time to the soul. Soul sometimes comes and says, no. I say, no, last time I gave you, today, no, right? So don't always try to be so harsh with yourself. Sometimes but pick yourself up. This is where this is the opportunity. Quarantine in Shahr Ramadan, opportunity to pick ourselves up. Maybe you're gonna do this self-discovery. You're gonna be so good at a lot of things, and then in 3 months' time, you start becoming angry again, or you start not praying on time again, and that's okay. All right. When you do your muhasabah, say that's okay. Maybe do a bit of mu'aqabah if you want, a bit of punishment, positive punishment. But then if you don't want to do the positive, okay, that's fine. Get back again and start over again. Don't be gentle with yourself, guys. Honestly, be gentle with yourself, be kind with yourself, but also be a bit sort of continuous with yourself, if that makes sense. Continuously do this. Don't just give up. I don't know if that makes sense, Brother Hashim.
No, that's perfect. It's perfect.
Thank you so much, Brother Hashim. Please don't forget us in your dua.
Ahsant, Brother Hashim. Okay, so now that we have reached the end of the program, we
You
want
want
to
to answer the questions? Other questions?
No, I think we need to give people a chance to go make their iftar if they haven't already made
Okay.
it, and stick to the time, inshallah. But we will definitely be back next week. Sorry for the questions we couldn't answer. I will take a note of getting the slides and the unanswered question to the book reference in the email to you as soon as possible, inshallah. I'll forward that to the iOS committee. And
Brother Hassan, does that mean that if everyone does this self-discovery, the iOS are going to give a free holiday to where your background is?
Yani this holiday is available for everybody.
So it's not free holiday.
It's just through dua. Just through dua it happens.
Okay.
Through
It
dua,
looks
yeah.
nice.
This is
Looks
the
nice.
time when dua
Quarantine.
becomes answered is now. So
You're
you
showing
want
us while we're in quarantine and sitting at home. You're showing us this.
Alhamdulillah. I mean, Allah gives rizq, isn't it? It's rizq is from Allah. You have to be content with what you have. The final thing I would say is I'm posting the survey again. Please go on to that link, surveymonkey.co.uk/r/community research _research. Please complete that survey. It will take you literally 2 minutes, but it is very important to us and it will help us a lot in the future. Yes. Specifically, if Dr. Al-Hilli's.
Yes, please do try to do the survey. It's I can share the results. I don't want to keep the results, but it's more about us understanding the community.
Yeah, to help us understand the community and the needs of the community going forwards, inshallah. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بارك الله فيكم.